Welcome to Takshashila Gurukul channel. If you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please subscribe immediately, press the bell button and write your comments and feedback. Share with your friends as much as possible. We provide online Kundalini Raja Yoga initiation and Kundali activation in 6 months.
The ethical principles of Hinduism are the principles and rules related to human behavior, and ethics are the foundation of human life. For human life to run smoothly in the world, people should interact with each other in the social, political, cultural and spiritual fields in a manner that is ethical. They should live by alliances and cooperation and live as righteous people. Without ethical behavior, a person cannot live his life properly and becomes personally ruined. Not only that, he also becomes the cause of the degradation of social life to that extent. Thus, ethics is the life principle that leads to the welfare of an individual's own life and the development of collective life. The practical practice of ethical principles is practice. Ethics are also called righteous conduct, right conduct. According to Hinduism, a person's life is considered a journey. A journey is a journey that the soul undertakes to join the Supreme Being. According to Hinduism, life does not mean only worldly pleasures, nor does it mean a natural law that begins with birth and ends with death, nor does it mean that one's life is not related to another. Similarly, Hinduism does not say that the daily tasks of life are obstacles to self-realization, nor does it say that life itself is different from self-realization. But it is clearly stated in Hinduism that there is a principle of interrelationship behind these visible differences in names and forms. Therefore, just as the ethical principles are for the salvation of an individual, that is, a living being, they are designed to help each other in the salvation of other living beings. The Vedic Rishis, who discovered the eternal principles of Hinduism, which say that this entire world is covered by the divine, have formulated the ethical principles by applying the principle of the salvation of the lives of millions of people through individual life. Similarly, this world is a gymnasium with opportunities for man to perform his daily life tasks, thereby realizing God. Overall, this is the essence of Hinduism, so along with the course of life, the worldly progress of the being. Hinduism includes appropriate ethical rules and principles of conduct to help achieve the eternal goals. Man uses his mind, body and senses to perform 3 types of actions: physical, verbal and mental. As a result, he experiences happiness and sorrow in life and is influenced by various cultures. Life is not free from the experience of happiness and sorrow. The happiness and sorrow of life cannot be avoided. In many respects, the occurrence of happiness and sorrow is caused by the behavior and attitudes of man. By the power of morality, with the help of moral practices, a living being cannot escape the influence of happiness and sorrow to a great extent. Thus, in Hinduism, ethics are not presented as a list of do's and don'ts or as a set of methods by which a living being can escape from the influences of happiness and sorrow without being exposed to them. Ethics. There are 2 well-known classifications of behavior in Hinduism. One is virtue and the other is sin. That behavior and actions by which it is possible to achieve the welfare of the individual and others is virtue. That by which not only does the development of the individual and the advancement of society become anxious but also dangerous is sin. These ideas have been collected and clarified through many philosophical sayings such as Ahimsa Paramo Dharma, Mahabharat, Anushasana Power, A. 114, Ahimsa is the supreme religion, Satyamev Jayate Nanraitam, Mundakopanishad, 3:1-6, truth alone wins, not non-violence, Satyam Vara, Dharmam Chara, speak the truth, practice the religion, Taittiriyopanishad, 11th Anupaka, etc. In a well-known Sanskrit verse, sage Vyasa, while explaining what the sins are, states that there are only 2 principles that have been stated by him in all the 18 Puranas, and it is explained as follows: Ashtadasha Puraneshu Vyasasya Vachana Dvayam, Paropakaraha Punya Papaya Parapedanam. In all the 18 Puranas, Vyasa Maharishi has said two things: doing good to others is virtue, and hurting others is sin. Whatever brings the fruit of sin is a deed that should not be done, and whatever brings the fruit of sin is a deed that should not be done halfway. Whatever brings the full fruit is considered right and proper. It is possible to understand clearly from an example how the right and wrongs of behavior and actions, the virtues and sins, affect the life of an individual and the life of society. The principle of not stealing other people's things, the practice of not stealing, and the calmness of mind that enables one to refrain from stealing even if there is an opportunity to steal are the practical form of religion. By stealing other people's things without earning it, without their knowledge, and without their permission in these three ways, in addition to causing anger, hardship, and mistakes to others, the thief suffers punishment, humiliation, etc., at the hands of others. This stunts the development of his life. It is a moral principle not to kill another person, because by doing so, one not only descends to the level of animals, but also creates a situation of fear and trouble in society. This will not lead to any kind of upliftment of the living being or social progress. It is a moral principle to help others. If one does so, the feeling of shyness in oneself will go away and a broad attitude will arise, and love and cooperation will be put into practice in society. Moreover, if one shows love and compassion to others with a view to self-realization, the necessary breadth of heart and mental maturity will arise to know that God is present in everyone. Thus, the correct principle and meaning are at play in the background of each of the ethical principles. Our great Aryan sages, who properly examined life and discovered its limits and goals, have formulated rules regarding ethical principles. Those ethical principles are explained in Hinduism through extensive examples and stories in Shruti, Smriti, and Puranas. In these texts like Manusmriti, Srimad Ramayana, Srimad Mahabharata, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, extensive explanations are given about ethics and morals. When the practice of ethics is implemented in life, the culture that arises from it becomes the basis of the life of the person. In the initial stage of the life of a living being, when the ethics are implemented, the ethics of non-violence may be seen as cowardice, firmness is foolishness, and abstinence is self-destruction. But with proper practice, when implemented with wisdom, ethics do not become blind obedience but a successful practice of understanding. Then it gives strength and protection to the one who practices it powerfully in life. Then it becomes dharma. When ethics are personal, then it is called individual ethics, and in social affairs, it becomes social ethics. When ethics are followed by human beings in their dealings with each other, it becomes a moral, i.e., a rule-based practice, and it is called etiquette in business. If the practice of ethical principles is the seed, then dharma is the tree that grows from it. The happiness, peace, and joy that come from a righteous life are the fruits that are obtained from this tree of dharma. In general, if ethics are the foundation of the great building called life, then dharma is its pillar that is born from that foundation. According to Hinduism, a person's life is divided into 4 divisions and 4 stages, and the ethics and religious practices that he has to follow at each stage are determined. Accordingly, people are divided into 4 varnas according to their qualities and deeds. The 4 divisions and stages of life are called chaturasramas, and the duties, customs, and ethical practices to be followed in the stages of varna and the 4 ashrams are collectively called varnashrama dharma. It is said, varnashrama dharma is designed so that a person's life at each stage becomes good and useful and that each stage helps in the transformation towards the supreme goal of life, liberation. Stating the rules of ethics, Hinduism also directs that a human being should be endowed with such virtues and become virtuous. The renunciation of vices and the practice of virtues is the development of morality, and the moral development of a person is the first stage of a person's religious life. In Hinduism, the virtues that are the basis of righteousness are mainly determined as 5, and they are called the 5 main virtues. Many other virtues are also included in the 5 main virtues. Let us now discuss them in an appropriate manner. The five main virtues are 1. Purity or purity of essence, 2. Restraint, sama and dhamma, 3. Dispassion or vairagya, 4. Satya, 5. According to Hinduism, the personality of a person is the body. Mind and soul are all three considered. Accordingly, the rules and rituals of religion are designed to help in the all-round development of these three personality aspects of a person and thereby in the attainment of the ultimate goal of salvation. Accordingly, the practical practice of virtues should be carried out based on these three aspects equally. Purification. Purification is physical and mental cleanliness. Due to impurity, the body, mind and intellect become damaged and deformed, and as a result, the health of the body and mind deteriorate. The life of a person with such a body and mind is naturally a legacy of sorrow and chaos. The work done, the speech spoken, the thoughts thought about should be pure and truthful, which are the elements that come under the scope of purification. Thus purification means the purification of the body, mind and speech. Not only that, it also includes the purity of the feelings, intentions and actions of all the actions carried out through them. Accordingly, in Hinduism, many types of rules have been said regarding cleanliness, and a person who is clean is called a pure soul. Sense abstinence. The tools we use for the work we do in life are the senses. If we do not have control over our senses, all the work and affairs we do will go out of control. Chaos will arise. A person who is restrained in senses is called a victorious soul in the Gita. Physical and mental restraint is said to be sense restraint. The work done, speech, thinking, restraint and proper use of these three elements are very necessary for a person for success in life and all-round progress. The life of a person who is not restrained in senses becomes like a chariot that is running without control over the horses, and in that situation, or a chariot that is running without brakes. It becomes like a bus. There are many explanations about self-control in the Karopanishad and Bhagavad Gita, which guide us in a proper way for life. Self-control includes these 12 important qualities: equanimity, modesty, contentment, peace, restraint, detachment, friendship, patience, faith, obedience, and penance. Let us now know some details about these qualities. Equanimity. Dual experiences like pleasures, cold camels, etc., are inevitable in a person's life. If you are happy when you are happy, you have to feel sad when you are sad. Expansion and contraction are the professions of the mind, and from it, the body, and then the individual's personal life, and through it, his family and society. Even though you are subjected to dual experiences of happiness and sorrow, you must maintain mental equanimity and stability. Equality is the quality of facing happiness and sorrow with an equal view without losing. Shame. Shame is the feeling of shame in self-praise and committing wrongdoings. A person without shame loses wisdom and becomes degraded from all perspectives without a good goal and noble vision in life. Contentment. Satisfaction is being satisfied with what one has achieved and the position and circumstances one has attained in worldly life. This does not mean that one should not want to develop from the position one is in life. But it is wrong to be sad and jealous because one's condition is like this, that one is inferior to others, and nothing can be achieved through sadness and anxiety. Striving for development and progress is one of the principles of human life. One should be content with what one has until the result of an enthusiastic effort. The result when one gets what one needs, one should decide how much is enough and accordingly shape one's behavior in life. It is said in Manusmriti that contentment is the source of happiness. Santosham paramasthaya sukharthi samyato bhavet, santoshamulam hai sukham dukkhavalam viparyaya. Those who want happiness should be self-controlled and should take refuge in contentment. Happiness is the source of happiness. Unhappiness is the source of sorrow. *Sham. Humans are attracted to unnecessary thoughts and things in life. A human being, who does not control his mind, gets carried away by unnecessary thoughts and attempts at material gain and falls into sorrow and trouble. The reason for this is his mind. Since the motivation for a person's words and actions arises from the mind, If the mind is controlled, everything else will be fine. It is mentioned in the scriptures of Hinduism that when the mind is cleansed of the mind, one attains salvation. Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandhamokshayo, bandhaya vihyasangam mokshe nirvishayo sm written, Maitri Upanishad, chapter 6, verse 34. The mind is the cause of man's hand, bondage or salvation. The mind being attached to sensual things is the bond. When it is nirvishaya or non-attachment, salvation is the result. In simple terms, controlling the mind can be said to be Shama. The mind should be controlled by noble feelings, the ideals of elders, continuous practice and renunciation. All these are elements belonging to the Shama, Guna, Dhamma. Man participates in the happenings of the external world through the five senses. He experiences the results of his actions. Man is not happy with impermanent happiness. What is true happiness? As stated in the Bhagavad Gita, the mind that strives for happiness is capable of understanding, Pisa 200, that which is perceptible only by the intellect and is beyond the senses, that is the ultimate happiness. Man should come to the realization that the attainment of this ultimate happiness is the goal of his life. Accordingly, he should be engaged in performing the tasks of life. Thus, when a living being is engaged in the field of life, it is inevitable that pleasures and pains will affect him. But it is also necessary for him to get rid of them. In order to get rid of them, one should walk on the path of instinct with control. Knowing the pleasures of the senses and their limitations, understanding and experiencing their merits and demerits, one should not become a slave of the senses but become their master. Thus, restraining the senses and not being subject to the pleasures and pains obtained through them, and not being attracted by the objects of the senses, is called Dhamma. Neglect. Neglect is the manifestation of indifference towards evil people. That is to say, we should be indifferent towards bad people. We should not be in the company of bad people or be hostile towards them. Friendship. Friendship is being friendly with equals and good people. The quality of kindness helps in experiencing unity with others and gaining a broad-heartedness. Kindness. Being kind and respectful towards those who are above us, that is, those who are older and more worthy than us, is kind and respectful. This includes feelings of respect and reverence without a sense of servitude. Courage. The mental strength to face the calamities that arise while doing one's duty in life correctly, not being afraid of calamities, not being disappointed. The virtue of courage is courage. Courage is the basic strength for the proper accomplishment of all the tasks of life. Without courage, a person cannot live anywhere due to weakness and instability. When doing things that are in accordance with the Dharma, face whatever situation comes. Courage is the mental effort to perform a task, so courage, bravery, adventure, manliness, all these are forms of courage. There are purity of mind, purity of intellect, purity of body, and when the essence of a person is purified, the quality of courage is facilitated to increase and accordingly it grows. Courage is the lifeblood of a living being and it is called Abhay in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Hindu religious texts such as the Upanishads, Gita, and Puranas, all of these contain extensive explanations about the influence, greatness, and needs of courage. Faith. In the words of the Gurus, scriptures, faith, confidence in oneself, and the hope that one will become better in life, all these are collectively called faith. Without faith, doubt creeps into life and leads to doubt. Life becomes unhappy and insecure due to the change in mind and instability. The Gita makes it clear that the conditions of one's life will be shaped according to one's faith. Yo yocha sa iva sa, Gita. 17.3. Whatever faith one has, that is what he becomes. Similarly, the Gita, while extolling the glory of faith, says, Samshyatma vinashyati, the doubting soul is destroyed. Gita 4.40. Shraddhavan labhat jananam, the one who has faith gains knowledge. Gita 4-36. The account of Nachiketa in the Kato Upanishad sheds more light on faith. Obedience. Obedience is the quality of following the words of the Guru, the scriptures, the moral rules and regulations of the society, the moral and legal issues of the nation, and so on, with appropriate humility and courtesy, both spiritually and worldly. Obedience is another form of humility. Without obedience, arrogance, ignorance due to arrogance, and chaos due to ignorance enter a person's life. When there is chaos in behavior in life, then the life of a living being is ruined. There is no need to say anything else. Tapasya. Tapasya is the practice of using the three types of energy of the body, namely physical, verbal and mental, without wasting them and increasing them day by day and applying them in life in a way that is conducive to self-realization. Observance of celibacy, recitation of good deeds, contemplation of good thoughts, good speech, moderate consumption of food, and enjoyment of recreation, all these are the elements of tapasya. Dispassion, the absence of interest and attachment to the pleasures, material things, and family in the world is called dispassion. If a living being born in the world is subject to worldly attachment, he cannot attain the supreme goal of life, self-realization, salvation. Whoever is attached cannot become free. Attachment to material things, attachment to relatives, and attachment to family, believing them to be true and eternal, will lead to the destruction of the intellectual. The Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita clearly explain that physical and spiritual advancement is affected. The explanation given in the Gita is as follows: Dhyato Vishyayan Pansa Sanveksepupagyat. Sangata Sanjait Kama Kama Krodhobhijat Krodhadbhavati Samaha Samaha Smatavibrahma, Smritibramsat Buddhiso Buddhisat Pransyati. Gita, Chapter 3, verses 62, 63. A man who thinks about things gets interested in them. From interest comes lust, from lust comes anger, from anger comes delusion, from delusion there is delusion of memory, from delusion of memory comes intelligence, from the destruction of intelligence the man is destroyed. It is made clear in the scriptures of Hinduism that the root cause of all happiness, sorrow, and suffering in the world is the individual's interest in them. Moreover, it is the firm belief of Hinduism that the happiness and pleasures of the world and material things are not the ultimate goal of life but tools that help in the complete development of the soul of the living being. That is why disinterest is an important virtue necessary for the salvation of the individual. The principle behind disinterestedness is that one should realize what is true and what is eternal in the world and perform the duties of life with disinterestedness and become one with God. Generally, the virtue of disinterestedness includes 5 qualities: wisdom, sacrifice, kindness, charity, and humility. Let us examine them in detail. 1. Discernment. Discernment is the power to distinguish between what is good and what is bad in the world. 3. Sacrifice. Sacrifice is giving up what is not beneficial to the soul and giving what one has for the benefit of others. 3. Kindness. Showing compassion for the sufferings and pains of others without selfishness is kindness. When kindness grows in the mind, the selfish mind is absent and it helps in the growth of a person's heart. Then he becomes a person who sees everyone in society with love. Living his life with the minds of service and cooperation, he sees God who is the innermost being of all. Kindness is the basic quality for the life of society and the prosperity of the nation. If kindness is not practiced among individuals, life in the world will not be easy. In human life, one should live by doing good to others and doing good to others. Then that life becomes righteous. Thus, kindness is the root of the religion of life. It cannot be an exaggeration to say that it is not possible truth. The word truth is derived from the root word, sat. Sat means existence. Then truth means existence. That which is eternal is truth. Truth is eternal. It is eternal. Only Brahman is eternal. That is why it is said in Hinduism that, Satyam Brahma Sanatanam, truth is eternal Brahma Santiparva, Sarvam Satye Pratistitam, everything is established in truth Santiparva, 162-5. Since God is truth, he is called Satchidananda, Satyadeva. Just as joining Satyadeva is the supreme goal of a living being's life, truth is the path and means to join Satyadeva. Truth does not mean truth through mere words. Truth should be manifested through the body, mind and words. It is said in the scriptures of Hinduism that when the power of truth is properly manifested in a person's life, it manifests itself in 13 ways. Whoever has these 13 types of characteristics in his life is truthful, and when his life is devoted to the worship of truth, he realizes the true God through the power of truth. The various forms of truth are Satyam ca samata kaiva damava na samshaya, Amatsaryam kshama kaiva sristi kshanasuyata, Ahimsa kaiva rajendra satyakaranaspādaka, Tyago dhyanamathāryatvam drutista sattam stita, Mahabharat Shanti Parva. 162, 8-9 Truth, equality, wealth, avarice, forgiveness, modesty, non-jealousy, sacrifice, seeking the welfare of others, good wishes, steadfastness and non-violence. These are the various forms of the 13 truths. Thus, when truth is fully implemented in life, the realization of the other truth becomes easy for the living being. Truth is also a principle to be practiced with threefold devotion. It is also an invincible power. Where there is truth, there is no place for fear. Where there is no fear, there is order and interests in life. A life filled with order and interests is the stepping stone to liberation. Making this clear, it is said in the Upanishad, Satyamev Jayate Nanraitam, truth triumphs, falsehood never triumphs. Non-violence. Truth is the goal that a person should achieve in life, and non-violence is the means to realize truth. There is a close relationship between truth and non-violence. Non-violence is not to violate or violate good thoughts, good conduct, and the rule of truth. Not to cause violence to others mentally, physically, or verbally, and to cultivate the qualities of courage, forgiveness, courage, and restraint are the details of non-violence. The life of a person who is united by the principles of non-violence becomes a practical example of religion. Non-violence is the supreme religion. Non-violence is the supreme religion. Mahabharat Anushasana Parva, chapter 114, has been clarified in many ways and places in Hindu religious texts. Non-violence not only leads to personal development of a person but also to the growth of special qualities such as kindness, courage, truthfulness, self-confidence etc., and leads to elevation. A person endowed with the quality of non-violence becomes an ideal person of respect, love and courage for others in the world. Not only does he attain happiness and peace, but he does not cause any harm to others in the world, and others do not cause harm to him. There is a clear explanation in a verse in Manusmriti regarding this matter, which is as follows: Yasmadapi bhutanam dvijanitpet bhaya, tasya dihadvi mukta bhayam nasti kuthappana. He who is not afraid of any living being, from the duality, he is free from the body, and he will not be afraid of others. The more a person adopts these 5 virtues in life, the better his life will be. It will help him in achieving the ultimate goal of salvation. As important and necessary as the maintenance of virtues is to prevent vices from entering into life. Just as pure milk is poured into a good vessel and the vessel is not closed, the milk in the vessel will spoil, no matter how pure it is. In order to preserve these virtues, one must abandon vices. Just as all virtues are mainly classified as the 5 great virtues and are contained within them, all vices are mainly classified into 3 categories called Durgunatraya. These 3 vices are 1. Lust, 2. Anger, 3. Greed. These 3 vices manifest themselves in different forms in a person's life and are collectively called Arishadvaga. In Arishadvaga, lust, anger, there are 6 vices: greed, attachment, infatuation, and lust. The remaining 3 vices are derived from the 3 original vices and manifest. Virtues make a person's life happy, secure, and fulfilling, helping him attain the ultimate goal of self-realization or liberation. But vices cause the all-round degradation of a person, and because of such a person, the lives of others in this world also become difficult. A person who is depraved becomes a curse and an abomination to himself and the world. The state of injustice, chaos, and unhappiness is called hell in Hinduism. Hinduism has made it clear through many examples and narratives that those who commit sins will go to hell, while those who do good deeds will go to heaven and to the Sankha. making it clear that vices not only lead to the destruction of a person but also become the gateways to hell. The Bhagavad Gita says, Trividam narakadam dwaram nashanamatman, kama krodhastatha lobhastasmadeshityam tyajet. Gita, chapter 6, verse 21, lust, anger, greed, these three gates of hell led to the destruction of the soul. Therefore, a person should give up all three, making it clear that the one who has created these three vices will attain the supreme goal, that is, liberation. The Gita says, Etar vimukta, konte tamodvare bhirnara, adaratyatman shreyasteto yati param gavat. Gita, chapter 16, 21-22, a man who is released from these gates of darkness, hell, makes his merit. From that he attains liberation. Lust. It can be said that lust is the desire for things, ideas, and the pleasures associated with them. Sexual desire, desire for other worldly pleasures, all these are included in lust. Lust means desire. It is made clear in many places in Hindu religious texts, with various examples and explanations, that desire is the cause of all the sufferings and bondages of life. In the Srimad Bhagavad Gita, while talking about lust, it is said that it is the great enemy of man in this world. Lust is anger, and the ocean of passions. Mahatakano Mahapappa Vidhanamiha Varinam. Gita, chapter 3, verse 37, this is lust, this is anger, this is born of the mode of passion, it is all-consuming, it is a great sinner. Know it as an enemy in this world, samsara. The soul is trapped in this bondage of samsara due to lust. When lust is abandoned, it is freed from it. Anger. The mental disorder that causes mental pain to others and makes one feel like one has no control over oneself is anger. That is called sittu. The mental disorders that arise when one has disagreeable opinions on things and ideas that one does not like, when one is disturbed by others about things and ideas that one wants, manifest as sittu. Due to anger, physical disorders, lack of mental health, lack of wisdom, control etc., a person experiences difficulties in his life and experiences hardships and losses. Greed. Greed is the feeling of wanting everything, wanting it to remain with oneself forever, and greed leads to accumulation, which often leads to a person committing many injustices. Not only that, but he also falls into the bondage of karma in this world again and again. Attachment. Attachment is the attitude that one cannot leave the things one has, the people in one's family, etc. Attachment is an excessive selfish love. The tendency to think of one thing as another and to long for it as one's own, to want it for oneself, becomes attachment. If a living being born in the world falls under the influence of attachment, he does not understand the impermanence of the materialistic thoughts of the world and becomes ignorant and falls into the bondage of karma again and again. Mada. Mada is a vice that creates the attitude that the happiness of the world is necessary for oneself, that one is not inferior to others in anything, and that it is one's duty and right to experience happiness. Mada leads to the downfall of morality and thereby the life of a person moves towards destruction. Matsarya. This is the feeling of impatience and unwholesome jealousy towards the happiness and development of others, expressing it in action. Due to this vice, a person does not perform his duties properly and loses the friendship and cooperation of others. This vice prevents a person from realizing that jealousy destroys him, and becomes a thorn in his physical, mental and spiritual development. As the virtues are cultivated and nurtured through continuous practice and determined vigilance, the vices fade away. To practice virtues properly in life and make life holy and pure, Hinduism has defined systems such as Varna Dharma, Ashrama Dharma, and Sanskara Vidhi. When the Sanskara Vidhi are practiced in this way and virtues are cultivated, spiritual power is generated in the person. That is what is called Dharma Shakti. Those who follow Dharma and lead a righteous life are pious and religious. They become the protectors and guardians of Dharma. A well-known saying of the humanistic philosophy makes it clear that religion protects such people, and unrighteousness destroys the non-religious. Whatever religion kills, whatever religion protects, the religion protects. The purpose of the Varnasrama Dharma and the rituals is to teach a person how to live his life according to the principle of his own welfare, the welfare of others. The good qualities that should be in a person are called divine wealth, and the bad qualities are called demonic wealth in the scriptures of Hinduism. It is said that there are divine and demonic qualities in humans, which are derived from the basic qualities of sattva, rajas, and tamas. The essence of the presentation of the ethical principles of Hinduism is that everyone should abandon the demonic qualities in himself and adopt the divine qualities. This is explained through a story from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. It is explained very cleverly. Once, a man, a demon, and a deity all asked God, "Instruct me." Then God said, "Da." The first letter of the three words, Dhamma, Dana, and De, is Da. The demon understood that Da means kindness, the man understood that Da means charity, and the deities understood that Da means Dhamma. The secret meaning of this is, for a human life to be successful, the three qualities of Dhamma, control of the senses, Dana, and deity are very essential. From these three qualities, the remaining virtues arise, leading to a life that is full of essence and in accordance with the Dharma.